Good man. British champion, Sonny Edwards. Has that sunk in yet? Are you still buzzing about that, or do you look forward now and look at sort of defences and you started off?
Yeah, but I mean, like the British title is something I've always seen as very, very, not easily, but very achievable. Like, I think if I went my whole career and never surpassed British level, it would have been a big shock for me and many others. But I felt like I won that title when I first got made mandatory for it, like well over 12 months ago, and the fight with Tommy Frank fell through because obviously at that point no one wanted to fight me, and then I proved it by beating Marcel. I mean, it's a great stepping stone. I mean, a boxing English champion, arguably not the most well known or feared opponent, to win the British title for, but that's out of my control. I've been there waiting for whoever wants to come along, and then I'm glad that I've got it now and looking to build on that in this year.
Just obviously going off your social media, and you just sort of hinted at it there. That do you feel avoided, Sonny, in this country?
Definitely, and I definitely have for all the way up my career till now. Really, I mean, now I've got the British title and I'm fighting on TV regularly. I think the prospect of fighting me is a bit more attractive to these fighters because there's only very few TV fighters around my weight, and really the three that you have is Cal Yafai, world champion, my brother who's former world champion, and then me. Like, no one else is fighting regularly on TV. So really, in order to get that opportunity to fight on TV, you have to go for one of us. And obviously, out of them three fighters, I'm the lowest level fighter at the moment. So short, like, I should be the ones getting the for these fighters to have a way in the door. I mean, I've seen Harvey Horn and Joe Maphosa fighting each other, and I'm expecting the winner to be a bit forthcoming about wanting that fight. But my stance is quite simple, really. I was begging and trying to make those fights happen for the last 18 months, pushing for them. They were getting them offered. Then Maphosa was coming back saying, he wants a couple more fights first. Harvey was coming back saying, he's not ready. He wants to do a few 10-rounders, a few 12-rounders, etc., etc. So now all of a sudden they fight each other, and then I'm in a position where they have to fight me, to get on TV, to get the British title, etc. Then I'm going to make it hard for them. I'm going to make them jump through the same hoops that they made me jump through. And I've made it very clear to my management team and to my promoter, Frank Warren, because we're all under the same, promotional banner, that if they're going to be offering me this fight, be prepared to come with a big and inflated offer, because I'm not giving these guys the opportunity that they was turning me down. When I needed the British opponents there, to try and get a British title, to try and build my resume and my name and my stock, they weren't nowhere to be found. So now, now I've sort of built up a good platform. If they want to try and jump on that, it's not happening without, reparations. Because I've spent the last 14, 15 months taking fight after fight after fight, hard fights, hard opponents, title fights. I did 6 fights in under 14 months. Risky fights as well. And I've done my hard work that they haven't had to put in. They've been fighting journeymen that I've beat. They've been fighting like the terrible, very low-level kids. So they shouldn't get that reward there just that easy. So I just made it very clear that if that fight is to be had with me versus the winner of Horn and Maphosa, that I'm to be paid, relatively, because I've been getting paid, what I mean? And for me to give one of Uncle Frank's boys the opportunity, because that's what it will be. It'll be me giving them the opportunity, especially as it's a voluntary defence. Neither of them are mandatory. Then they're going to have to pay for it. As simple as that, because when I was trying to make the fights with them, it was just getting knocked back on time and time again.
Obviously, the win.
So I can't really hear you. It's not really coming through.
Is there any part of you understand why they maybe didn't want those fights at that time?
I understand to a certain degree. They didn't think they was ready, but then what annoyed me is they was mentioning my names. And every fight who I've mentioned the names, I'm ready for them to fight them in my next fight. Harvey especially was mentioning my name time and time again. Every interview, every article, and every time the fight got offered of him, he was like, no. So what the fuck are you mentioning my name for then? Stay in your lane. If you're not ready to mix it at that level, then I don't want to hear it. Like, but obviously now they've got like a much better reason as to why they want to fight me. So I don't want to go out and get them the reason. I want them to give me a reason to want to fight them. Like, why and why should I not want that? And I'm not saying for a second I wouldn't fight them, because I think I'll beat him every single day on a week of Sundays. You know what I mean? I have no qualms with that. But at the same time, you've got to pay the piper. You know, I've put in the groundwork. Like, I've taken less purses than I should and could have, multiple times, including in my last fight. Like, I took the same money that I was getting for a 10-round international pick-em opponent for a 12-round title fight against a British opponent live on BT. You know? So I just wanted the fight to happen. I've taken my down payments. Now it's time to, like, you know, sort of start reaping what I'm sowing. Because if these fights are the ones that people want to see, then I've got to get paid accordingly. Because really, it's them coming on my platform. Like, Harvey and Joe, between them, haven't boxed on TV yet. So it's not a fight that is all too much interest in me. But if it's there, then, and the people want to see it, then pay me correctly.
And Maphosa fight that's been talked about. I guess that's sort of like a little mini eliminator for you, really. You know what I mean? The winner will probably, you know, want to fight you. Is that a fight you keep a close eye on, or are you sort of just going about your own business and not really pay much attention to that?
I mean, it's not an eliminator for me. Like, shit, I don't know
Well,
what
not for
belt
you.
they're fighting for. I don't know.
I mean, for them to have
I know
the
they would like
chance to fight you, you know.
Yeah, but even then, like, whatever makes sense for me now, like, 'cause I don't need these two. Like, I'm ranked 4th for the WBO, 8th of the IBF. I'm British champion. Like, the only reason that they would warrant getting in the ring with me from my side is that they're British. But then I can pick other British opponents, pick one British, then pick up my mandatory if that's them, fair be it. It's not like, well, I don't need to give them the opportunity. I don't need to give them that, because they do nothing really for me. Like, yeah, it's a decent fight and it would look good on paper, and this is why I'm fixed on the money, because apart from me getting a good offer to fight them, there's no reason for me to fight them. Do you understand? Like, they can fight each other 10 times over. Like, at the end of the day, Harvey's got all journeyman records on his very low-level journeyman as well, because he's pulled out against Brett Frido, wouldn't fight Craig Derbyshire, should have lost against Adam Hutchinson. Like, he's had a very poor professional career. Like, so I'm sorry, beating another person that's had all journeyman fights, you know, scraping a win against Louis Norman, probably should have been a draw. It's like, this doesn't warrant beating each other then to fight me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Fight a Tommy Frank, a Marcel Braithwaite, a fucking Kezi Kademi, Ryan Farag, or any of the international opponents. Like, fight one of them. Like, don't think fighting each other when you've both only fought journeyman is going to be a straight route to me. Like, come on, get out of here. It doesn't make sense to me. But if they chuck me, you know, a good purse, that would keep me interested. I'm not going to just take that as my next contract purse, just for them. Do you know what I mean? And that's one thing I'm adamant on. I'm not going to do that, because I know my worth, I know my value. I know that when I box on TV, I get good feedback, good ratings, good views. For a super flyweight, that doesn't happen all too often. Do you know what I mean? I've headlined shows on BT. I've headlined shows on Box Nation. I've been chief support a couple of times on BT. I've been on big shows. Like, come on, like, but like I keep saying, if you know, Frank Warren wants to put me a good offer, a good reason, I'm not asking for stupid money. But let me get that straight now. I'm not asking for stupid money. I'm asking for relative as to what I've done compared to what they've done, and what they can achieve by beating me compared to what I can achieve by beating them. Like, I'm just asking for relative, and I know what my opponent, Marcel, in my last fight, got paid, and he was very, very happy with what he got paid. Let me put it that way. Like, and then there's middleweights fighting for British titles not getting paid that. I know that fact. So
is that just
how much
someone in the ring with you? Is that just so, like, do you think Frank's maybe going to have to pay over the odds to get someone in with you?
Yeah, because with the Marcel, what he had to gain for me was the British title. So I took a pay cut for what I could have got or should have got to make sure I got that British title around my waist, and that happened. And the money that could have went to me ended up going to him. You know, obviously I still came out with more money, but what I'm saying is I could have negotiated more and got more. But what I said is, don't worry about that. Just get me that British title, because I know with that British title, the next time it comes around, it's going to be my time to negotiate. Like, oh, so the winner of Harvey Horn, Joe Maphosa, let's say it's opening on BT on the bar card, the bar Joyce card. Fine. The winner wants me. Fine. All right. How much is it worth to you to be on a big London show where Frank Warren can't lose anything because I'll have a rematch clause, so there'll be 2 fights if they beat me. If not, it builds up my profile against another lad. Do you know what I mean? If I lose twice, it builds up another one of their fighters. So Frank Warren's in a perfect position, Queensbury promotion, with that sort of round robin. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're in a perfect position. So because I'm the top of that pile, that little triangle, I'm the top of it. Because these two are fighting to then try and call me out. Like, I've heard Harvey on putting out interviews, the fight Sunny Evans has to happen in 2020. It doesn't have to happen. Like, why does it have to happen? For who? For you, maybe. But when I needed it in 2019 and 2018, you weren't nowhere to be seen. Like, when I needed it, because I wanted you in the ring for a British title, or to help build up my stock when I was, fighting all these Mexicans, and when I was trying to headline York Hall against a British opponent, no one was to be seen. So don't think then you can box each other when you sparred each other 100,000 rounds, and then the winner, which will be like a 10 or 12 round, quite bore fest, I think. But don't then think that warrants you, because I'll turn around and tell you to go fuck yourself, because that's what you did to me when we were trying to chase the fight with all of you lot. Because when I was mandatory at Super-Flyweight at the British, every single fighter in the rankings, including Harvey Horn, including Joe Maphosa, Tommy Frank, Marcel Braithwaite, they all got offered this fight. And they all turned it down. Hence why I fought Hugo Guarneros when I headlined. I was hoping to get my British title on that, when I was headlining.
Yeah.
So I ain't in the business of doing no favours or no handouts. I already beat Joe Maphosa in the ABA finals. I know pro and amateur are 2 completely different sports, but he didn't let glove on me for 9 minutes. Like, and Harvey Horn just stands off and he's negative, and he doesn't look fit for more than 5-6 rounds. Like, he's always blowing. He lost 4 rounds against someone that was like 7-1. The Ayers Ahmed, who was a very low level fighter. Adam Hutchinson should have beat him. I've sparred him since. Like, come on, come out. Like, just, I don't know where they think their heads at, but if they think fighting each other is going to lead for a good purse shot at me on TV, then for the British title, then they're wiling out a bit, really.
And if you're gonna entertain the idea of fighting a British opponent and it wasn't Horn or Maphosa, is there anyone on your radar, or would that be then a case of you moving on?
Well, my voluntary will probably be just whoever I pick, to be honest. Like, someone with a decent record, probably got like an area title or something like that. Someone that will just pass. Because remember, I'm coming off an injury as well now. Like, I haven't punched since my last fight. I didn't punch 3 weeks before my last fight. My hands were injured before the fight. And obviously, I'm not coming for no comeback fight. I still want a proper fight, 12-round title, British title defense. But I can pick. I'm in the position with that luxury. But ideally, I would want Tommy Frank, and I've made that clear. He's got the Commonwealth. I've got the British. Let's go. Like, I live in Sheffield. He's from Sheffield. I would do a hell of a lot of tickets in Sheffield. I haven't had the chance to box up here. Let's bring a smaller hall show up into Sheffield on BT. That's my ideal. That's what I want. Like, I know they've been offered the fight multiple times. They pulled out of purse bids last year, so I can't see it really happening. But if I was Tommy Frank, I'd be sat there fuming, thinking he had a chance to win that British against me. I mean, box on BT, get a good purse. Instead he's boxing on fucking a Freeview channel that no one can tune into, in front of about 200, 300 people in the hall, selling all the tickets to make sure the show goes ahead, paying for his opponent, probably coming out of a couple of grand, maybe $3,000 if that. Like, it's a hell of a lot of work for a hell of a lot of nothing, to be honest. And he must have been sat there watching me lift that British title, sick as a parrot, because I would be. Like, when I missed out on the Luke Walton opponent for the Commonwealth because I was out injured, and then he ended up winning it. Like, I was sick. Like, and I didn't really want the Commonwealth like that. I just didn't want no one else at my weight talent.
It's funny, that was going to be my next question about Tommy Frank. Sort of, why do you think he feels, to me anyway, looking from the outside, that he's sort of like the outsider of the division? Do you know what I mean? That he's not promoted by Frank. He's going down his own little sports route. Like, why? Why do you think he wants to? Why do you think he's been navigated down that route and away from yourselves?
Oh, well, let's be like completely open. The IBO is a Mickey Mouse belt. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of them WWE belts that you buy for your kid in Toys R Us or whatever. Like, it's insane that people actually like trying to quantify that as in like legit world rankings. Like, nah, you're taking the piss. Like, don't come up with no IBO belt, IBO belt. Do you know what I mean? And the reason why they're doing what he's doing is because if it wasn't for Tommy Frank or now Josh Whitehall, there wouldn't be no Dennis Hobson shows in Sheffield. And I've heard from a relatively, good source that's been spot on with a few things before that it's not Dennis Hobson doesn't want to fight, because he'll have Tommy Frank signed up to, I don't know, 25% of his purse if he fights on someone else's show and all of that business. So he'll be, you know what I mean, happy with him in fighting on like a big show, get a good purse. Because he would warrant a good purse to fight because he's got that Commonwealth, etc., unbeaten. But Glyn Rhodes, his trainer, has seen me spar him a couple of times. And look, I know sparring's different, and I know you can't take everything from sparring. Maybe we did like 8 or 10 round spars. Yeah, but all I'm saying is there's clear one side of the pair who wants to fight, and there's one side who doesn't want to fight and pulled out a purse bids and decided to go and fight against the Thailand fighter who had 5-0 fights, only turned debut that year and still nearly lost. Like, I think it's a bit obvious. Like, I don't really need to say too much what happened in those spars because they were good, they were competitive, and they were exciting to watch. But I never felt no sort of way about sitting in the pocket with someone or pushing him back because I was moving and pushing him back and leaving him on the ropes and holding him on the ropes for like 2-3 minutes of rounds. Like, even though he looks physically bigger, he looks physically stronger. Like, it's not that at all. But yeah, I think that's why. I think his trainer knows, and then they try and make light of it when I said they're scared before. Like, oh yeah, we're scared of you. Like, well, you clearly are because you chose to throw away the purse bids of a mandatory super flyweight title without even hearing what the purse bid was. And I know what the purse bid was going to be, and it was going to be probably 10 times bigger than his purse he's ever got if he won. Do you know what I mean? But he's a nice lad, Tommy, but I feel like his team around him doesn't. Well, maybe they do have his best interests at heart, and that's why they're keeping him away from me. But, like, the British title is like, for me, that was like a goal that I wanted to achieve in boxing. So I wanted to always fight for that title, and it was a big thing for me to get that title, just to box for it, and then obviously to win it was even bigger. So I don't know, maybe he's happy fighting for these dark, sort of washed out green belts that he's been fighting for, but for me, man, it's not that.
And with that little Sheffield rivalry in mind, can you just explain to our listeners how you found yourself up north, as it were?
Sorry, what was that?
Still there, Sunny?
Yeah, I'm still there. I can just hear you then, but I couldn't hear what you were saying before.
Oh no, we were just saying that you mentioned the Sheffield thing before, and you were London boy. How did you find yourself up in Sheffield? How did that move come about?
I first went to Sheffield for university when I was 18, and then obviously I was on Team GB, and I moved with Grant when I was 18. As soon as I moved to the Still City gym,
yeah,
and I sort of just clicked there. I won a senior ABA title. I got to the final the next year, turned pro after being on GB. There was a short period of time when I was over in Marbella training with Danny Vaughan, but it didn't really feel at home. And then as soon as amateur coaches could also train professional coaches again, it was very easy for me to come back to Grant because there was never a reason why I wanted to leave him. It was just that he couldn't train amateurs and pros, and at that time he had a flying amateur stable, and it would have just been for me. Do you know what I mean?
So Sheffield sort of you're only 23. You've got a young family, a child. I guess you're obviously happy with you, and you don't miss the big cities down there sometimes, or?
Nah, do you know what? Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the way London is set up. I like my area. But even when I was, living in London, I never used to venture all too far out my area. I used to go training at gyms in other areas, but I wouldn't just, go up London because there's nothing that really appeals to me. I prefer Sheffield, that type of life, just the way it is. I've got like my best friends in the world up here, I've got my child, it's like I've got deep roots here now. It's not just where I come up for camps. I don't leave Sheffield in between camps. Like, you know what I mean? I don't go back. I don't really go back down to London all that much. Like, I've built a life here, and then it's somewhere that I will probably stay, you know, for forever, because I'm, you know, looking to buy houses up here, etc. So it's my home, really.
I guess you saying all that, and people may not know that who's listening. You know, that adds an even extra element to the Tommy Frank fight, doesn't it? That's almost a local derby. Without, obviously, you're not from Sheffield, but it's your home. Do you know what I mean? It could be hell of a Sheffield clash.
Exactly, yeah. I've been here for 6 years, right? And so I've obviously met and socialised with a hell of a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? I've got a lot of people that would come out and support me. And there's always like 20, 30 people that come down from Sheffield to watch my fights in London. You know, that's like a big journey there and back, or hotels, you know what I mean? So I know I'd do very good numbers, especially in that fight. Like, I'll be on nights out and now people will be pulling me and asking, oh, when's Tommy Frank going to fight you and that. And bear in mind, these are people that I've never met, never associated with. And they're people that probably like know him in some capacity, do you know what I mean? Otherwise, because really, Tommy Frank's not known in Sheffield, do you know what I mean? He's only known by the people that support him, if that makes sense. He's not like people aren't recognising Tommy Frank, do you know what I mean? Because really, he's a nobody. That's won a Commonwealth title against someone that retired 3 times in the last 4 years. And that my brother didn't lose a second round to, do you know what I mean? So, his career for me is very, very underwhelming, but he's done everything he's had to and what's been put in front of him. I just I think in the sport we're at, that whole I'm leaving up to my management team and I'm leaving up to my team around me, like, that is just like cover for, I don't want them hard fights. I don't want to be in those big nights, those big fights, because all I know is with me and my setup, they can advise me, but if I want something, I will turn around and tell them. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want. And I expect it to be done, because at the end of the day, as a professional boxer, you are employing your team. Do you know what I mean? You're giving them the percent, not the other way around. Does that make sense? So for me, if he wanted the fight, it would have already happened by now. Eventually, I think it will come to the point where, like, he'll just have to, because it's the best opportunity out there. And just like Harvey Horn and Joe Maphosa fall into that category that I really actually don't need you now. So if you actually proper want that fight, which I don't think even really do anyway, but if they do, then I'm going to get paid for that opportunity that I'm giving you. And Tommy Frank's not in that zone right yet, because he's got the Commonwealth title, he's unbeaten, and he's in my home city, so he has things that I kind of want. But if he falls out of that bracket, then, like, again, if he then wants to, you know, if he picked up a loss and then all of a sudden wants to, you know, then Carl want to fight Sunny now, then he'll get in the same scrap heap as Horn and Maphosa.
So, looking a bit beyond the other domestic lads then, how soon do you think you'll be in or ready to challenge for a world title?
I feel like I'm arguably ready, like, now, like the way I've been operating and etc. Because I feel like when I get in the ring, I can cause anyone absolute nightmares. I feel like it's just my style. That's why a lot of people don't want to box me, not because I hurt them, because I make them look silly. But that being said, now I've won this British. I've just turned 24. I'm talking in the last couple of weeks, so I have no immediate rush to go boom boom world title. Before the British title come along, I was in that rush. You know, I've got these international titles, I've got this world ranking, boom boom, I want a world title. Now I've got the British. It makes sense if I hold this for 3 fights, defend it, win it outright. You know, my stock goes up, my profile goes up. I'm in 3 more meaningful domestic fights. Then more experience as well, more time learning in the gym, more time in camp. Then, you know, go for that stepping stone to go back from domestic, international, and then push on for world. Like, but at the same time, if I got an offer for a world title shot, then it's something I'd snap up, as long as it was relative as to what, you know, as to what I've been getting, and also as long as it fits, you know, my career prospects. Like, I've taken time and time again fights early that I didn't have to. Like, and a lot of time people was like, wow, like, what's he doing that for? So now I've got that luxury. I've got that luxury to be a bit more patient with it. I really can't hear you. It sounds like you're really far away.
Yeah, even like the Ryan Farad fight at the time, when he took that fight, people were like, "Oh wow, what a fight that is!" You went on to win the fight well, but at the time, people thought, "Oh, that's a very risky fight." You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the Ryan Farag, I think, was the main one that sticks out because when I fought him, I hadn't boxed more than 6 rounds. I hadn't boxed anyone of name or note. I hadn't boxed on TV. Like there was a lot of things like before that fight, and there was a personal there was a bit of personal beef as there was history between him and my brother outside of boxing. So we'd sparred as well. Do you know what I mean? There was like a lot of background stuff, and even though a lot of people, I was favourites on the bookies, a lot of people thought, nah, do you know what, Sonny should. There was enough people thinking, well, actually, if Sonny's not as good as we think he is, then Ryan Farag is going to be a hard time because, he gave Ryan Burnett some tricky rounds. Ryan Burnett clearly won, but he still gave him a few rounds to think about. And I think that's when people really did stand up and take note on that victory. And another one of them things that, like, the purse I got paid for that, I got paid the same 3 fights before or 2 fights before to fight Ross Murray. Do you know what I mean? I took that because it was an opportunity. I took less money then for the opportunity to be where I'm at now. So now, forgive me, but I'm going to put myself first, and I ain't going to shortchange myself. Like, I'm going to make you pay for the same opportunities that I had to pay for. Like, I'm sorry, when I'm 8-0 or whatever I was, facing a former European champion at the weight above, British title challenger, English champion, was a good amateur, ABA champion, etc. Like, I took the risk, and now I get the reward. Do you know what I mean? So if these clowns think they can just walk in and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, I'll just go along with it just to help you out, they're crazy.
You mentioned earlier, you've mentioned a few times, you promoted like obviously, but even on social media, you're not afraid to fall in, are you? Do you know what I mean? As your promoter, the other day, I see you weren't happy being in the same paragraph of the article as Harvey Maphosa as well, and I think you're quite vocal for that.
Yeah, because, like, sorry, it's just put some respect on my name. Like, how are you putting in a group of 3 a British champion world ranked with 2 guys that haven't boxed anyone or had any ambition to box anyone? Like come on. Like, and I'll be open and honest with that. Like, I won't, step around that fact. Like, they shouldn't really be getting mentioned in the name the same as me. They're in the same weight, the same promoter, so fair enough. But don't band me with them like, oh, it's going to be the whole thing easy to fight, because I'll make you not jump through hoops. And if I'm being just strictly as honest as possible, if these are fights that people are eager to see and the promoters and the managers, etc., are eager to make, then that just means I've got more room to negotiate and push and ask for more. Because I feel like I deserve a lot more than them. I feel like I deserve a hell of a lot more than them. So I want to know what they're getting paid, and I want to get paid like in a good ratio compared to that. I feel like I deserve it.
And what does Frank think of that mentality, Sonny?
Well, Frank likes me that I'm cheeky, that I know what I want, I say what I want, I don't try to please people, and I mean, he knows I'm easy to work with to get me in the ring, and he knows I'm very fair and I'm very realistic with my wants and my needs. But at the same time, I'll say that directly to him, because at the end of the day, I like Uncle Frank, and Uncle Frank has been very good to me. But at the same time, business is business. Like, if I lost my last 2 fights, I doubt he'd like me half as much. Do you know what I mean? So, but I'm not oblivious to that fact. Like, I'm a product, and his platform is the shelf. Put me on that shelf, and I'm going to keep selling out. Like, if you leave me on that shelf for like 6 months and I haven't been sold, then who's going to want me? No one's going to want me. I'm not going to want myself. Like, so I'm realistic. So I'm not, and I will not be like, oh, I deserve this and I deserve that. Like, that I haven't gone out and proved that I earned. Do you know what I mean? I'm a British champion. I've been heavily avoided, and I'll probably continue to be heavily avoided. And I believe, and if you look at, like, a lot of people, I can't speak for the whole show because I didn't actually watch it, but a lot of people said my fight with Marcel saved the show, really, because the rest were all blowouts. And it was a good, interesting, exciting fight to watch, as well as all my other fights. People have been impressed with the skills and the flashiness and the flair that I just naturally bring to the ring. Like, so I feel like I've been good value for money. And I've done everything they've asked of me. Like, they have never offered me an opponent that I've turned down. I've accepted every single one. I've been asking for bigger, harder fights. I mean, I've taken harder opponents when there's easier ones in the same position for the same titles because I want to push myself, and that's how you get the best out of me. You know, when I was injured before, they was offering me 6 and 8 rounds. You know, just have a 6 round and then fight like 6, 7 weeks later, and then, you know, just get your money up. And I was like, nah, get me a title fight, because otherwise I won't get up for it. You know, there'll be no point me getting in that ring. I'll do my shaking off my ring rust in the sparring ring. So I've been very easy to work with, and you can tell that BT liked me. You know, Frank Warren liked me, and the offices at Frank Warren and Queensview Promotions have been getting so frustrated of all their fighters on their books turning down fights for me, because let's put it straight, at one point they had Paddy Barnes, Harvey Horn, Joe Maphosa, and me, and none of them would fight me. Like, they sign fighters in the same weight division to try and make these good in-house fights.
That must be frustrating, that, mustn't it? You know, because especially your weight as well. That there's quite a few in this country.
Yeah, and do you know what? We actually have a good, like, even though you know, if you mix flyweights and super flyweights together, because that's what I go up and down both. I feel like other fighters do too. If you mix them both together, we actually have a very talented crop of fighters. Let's just look at them. Cal Yafai, Charlie Edwards. Cal Yafai, Charlie Edwards. You've got Jay Harris, Andrew Selby. You had Paddy Barnes, you got Harvey Horn, Joe Maphosa, you got me, you got Kevin Kademi, WBO European champion, like Marcel Braithwaite, boxing England. Like, you have a good, like, actual depth of fighters. Do you know what I mean? But, and Tommy Frank, so I didn't even know, Tommy Frank, you have a good depth of fighters, but the frustrating thing is, everyone's saying to me, like Andrew Selby said directly, I will only fight Sonny Edwards for a world title. You know, he said that openly and directly to me, like, and to our management team, which is fine, but then everyone else has that same sort of opinion. So it's like, they only want to fight me for a world title, but that means that it just gets in my head, like, if I win a world title, why should I then give you the opportunity for that? Like, because when I went for my meeting, I went for a meeting over in Dubai and with MTK, and I listed all the fighters that they was, you know, holding over, that they're managing. You know, they had Paddy Barnes, Jay Harris, Mohammed Wasim, they had Andrew Selby. I said, I'll fight any and every single one of them in my next fight. And so they laughed and said, yeah, we know you would. But I want them there. I don't want to wait for the world title, because I feel like I'm going to get there anyway. Like, I feel like I'm going to be there, and I'm going to get there, and I'm going to mix at that level, lose or draw. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to be thereabouts. So for me, I'll risk jumping in the ring with a great fighter like Andrew Selby, or a proper tough man like Mohammed Wasim, or a tough man in Jay Harris, or any of these fighters, because I feel like I'm that good. And you know, if they beat me, that means they must be that good. I still feel I'm that level. Like, I'm not protecting or trying to protect my own. Like, I don't care about an own. Like, it don't do nothing for me. Like, I don't get embarrassed about losing. I've lost as an amateur plenty of times. Like, I don't get embarrassed about it. Judge me on my wins and the fights I take. And if you judge me on the lose or my losses or the L's I take, then like, do so at your own, you know, your own peril. Because, you know, I mean, I've seen my brother lose against Casemiro. Everyone was laughing at him. You know, fast forward 2 years, my brother's now a world champion, beating a legit world champion as well. And Casemiro is, you know, beat Tete and looked very good doing it.
And then, obviously, you've mentioned again those fighters, and I think the fans obviously experience a lot of frustration in not seeing those sorts of fights made.
Yeah, of course, but I can only say time and time again, that it's not from me doing it. And then anyone that actually knows and is in a position to know, like, knows that I've been so aggressive with trying to make these fights happen that it just got so annoying, because every fight that I tried to make happen, apart now from the Marcel Braithwaite fight, it never actually happened. Do you know what I mean? So I just don't understand. Like, that's why I got to the point where I'm not really calling for fights, I'm not really chasing fights, like, because everyone I did, they don't actually happen.
When do you think you'll fight next, Sonny? You mentioned your voluntary withdrawal, your hands as well. You know, letting your hands heal as well. When do you expect to be back?
Well, I'm not allowed to punch until the last week of February. You know, that's a clear 8 weeks of my fight. and then I'll be in camp. I want a 10-week camp, you know, because I've had a bit longer layoff than I want, and then look to fight in May, you know, get straight back on it, straight back in a 12-round title fight, and look to get on with it, like, because the biggest frustration is injuries. Like, all I can do right now is run and that. Like, I can't even bring myself to spend any time in the gym apart from my strength sessions because I just miss wanting to punch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the other day I nearly put gloves on. It actually went in my head, so I was about to get wrapped up, and I thought, nah, I can't. Like, that's what I did last time, and they never healed. I've just got to listen. And yeah, I know. Well, like, it's just how I am. I feel like my body's invincible, and it's really, really not.
Don't we all, man? So I think, like, what would be your ideal 2020? Like, if we spoke to you in a year's time, where would you like to be?
Right, if I've got this plan in my head, I don't know how it would work out or how it could work out, but if I could volunteer against someone, you know, I know that that Ricky Little has been trying to call me out, but I mean, my brother stopped him in about 90 seconds. So, I mean, I know he's Southern Area champion now, 5-2 or something, but it's not a fight that I think some people would get excited for. Like, but at the same time, if the board would pass it, why would I not have that as a voluntary? If not, I've been looking at names like, you know, there's a fight going on between that Matt Windle and David Seymour. I mean, I probably won't fight Matt Windle because he's lost a couple of times, but it's that David Seymour who's like 9-1, I think, Midlands area title. If he won, then maybe that looks like a potential opponent. No, just my voluntary. If a good offer gets made though from Harvey Horn and Joe Maphosa, they can have it. Do you know what I mean? But that would be dependent on the offer because I'm not on the, you know what I mean? I'm not Santa Claus. You know what I mean? I've got my own kid to raise. I don't need to raise someone else's kid by giving them these opportunities. But defend my voluntary, then see my mandatory, which if Marcel gets a good win, will probably be him again as English champion. If Tommy Frank puts in, I don't know if the year is up yet from when he got locked out. He could be mandatory, or the winner of Joe Maphosa and Harvey Horn might be mandatory. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends who gets put in for it. But that being said, I want to clear up the mandatory, and then that leaves me in a very interesting place. Not just like boxing wise, but and British title wise, but contractually as well. And I'm not going to go too much into that, but if I get 2 fights in a way, 2 wins, 2 defenses, then I'm in a very, very, very good position, like a great position. And ideally, what could happen is have 2 defenses of the British, then shoot my shot at a world title fight. And then I've got options, if I lose that, to come and win my British outright. And then obviously if I win, I'll probably vacate the British. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's ideally what would be my, in my head. I don't know how possible it is. I feel like by the end of this year, I can have a world title shot now. I feel like that is a achievable goal. I just need to get my hands 100%. I mean, I'm not like hurting or anything right now, but obviously I haven't punched anything since the 12th round against Marcel Bracelet.
You obviously switched on, Sonny. You love your boxing, as we all know. Which other fighters are you looking forward to watching in 2020? Who catches your eye, and who are you expecting big things on? Maybe someone from Sheffield or someone you train alongside?
Well, first I'm going to shout my good friend Josh Warrington. I feel his unification is round the corner, hopefully getting made. You know, I want to see him fight Shakur Stevenson. That'll be a huge fight. So obviously the WBO and the IBF. Hopefully, if that comes off, or Josh is looking next to box in May anyway, then hopefully I can get on that card. You know, if it is in Leeds, it's not a million miles away from Sheffield. That would be a good one for me. But yeah, Josh Warrington, I would love to see what he's done because he had such a great he's had a great run in the last 18 months. Do you know what I mean? He's been tremendous, and I've been at a few of his fights, and you know, he's come down to watch me. You know, been in my change room before fights and that. So he's someone I've got a lot of time for and who I really look up to. And more than anything, what I admire, he's done it the hard way. He weren't having debuts on Sky shows. You know what I mean? He's done it the hard way and built up from small hall, built his fan base, and he's very homegrown, and you can see why the city of Leeds love him so much. But you know, if I'm looking at world level, I don't know. There's so much. I'm looking forward to Casemiro Inoue. That looks like it's getting announced, if it has already been announced. I feel like it's already been signed for. That is going to be like wow fight. Like, I've already booked to go to Vegas for the Fury Wilder fight. If I had known that Inoue versus Casemiro was going to be there 2 months after, I wouldn't have. Do you know what I mean? Let's put it that way. 100%, like 100%. Like when Casimiro boxed Tete, I was front row. Like I weren't missing that fight for the world. And Inoue is another fighter I look up to heavily, but I'd probably want, you know, for my brother's sanity and the legacy of his career, Casimiro to do him. Do you know what I mean?
How is he, brother? How's he doing? How's Charlie doing?
Yeah, he's alright, mate.
All right.
You know, he just come back from a romantic retreat in Paris with his missus, and he's just in the gym waiting for a fight date. You know, he's had a bit of a layoff, but I feel like he needed that. It was necessary with, you know, the year that he had, and obviously the weight, and just enjoy life a little bit, you know. But yeah, he's back on it. He's back in the gym. He's training very hard. We did a run this morning. He'll be in the gym probably. Just finished by now. So yeah, but I don't know when he's out next. I'm perfectly honest. I think he's looking at, you know, late March, early April, somewhere around that mark. But he's not a million miles away from max fitness now. And I think he's trying to return at bantamweight over 10 rounds. I think it's the plan, but you can't really quote me on that because I actually don't know.
Yeah, we'll not put that one out as an exclusive then, Sonny. From the both of us, thank you very, very much for your time, and we really appreciate you coming on and having a word with us.
No worries. And I think this is one of the first podcasts I've said yes to in about 18 months or a year, I think.
Well, we've just relaunched it, so we've timed that well, I think.
No way.
Well, thanks, Sonny. Take
Hello.
care.
No worries. Cheers.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.